It's now October, the spookiest time of year. A time of year for getting scared and indulging in stories of monsters, ghosts, and all sorts of horrors. It's kinda hard, for me at least, to remember that kaiju, and by extension tokusatsu, started off as a branch of horror and sci-fi. I've always been more interested in sci-fi than horror, but I've always had a fascination with scary and weird things. One of my favorite horror things to watch is The Twilight Zone. I love that show. It's classic horror sci-fi goodness, and it has all that strange and out there stuff I've loved ever since I was a kid. Ever since I first got into Ultraman, I always heard that its predecessor, Ultra Q, was a lot like The Twilight Zone. This, funnily enough, had nothing to do with my recent interest in watching it. That was more so due to the approaching 60th anniversary of the series. Now, having seen Ultra Q, I understand the comparison. And with Halloween being extremely soon, I decided what better way to celebrate both Halloween and Ultraman's approaching 60th anniversary than to check out the show that started it all. Today, you'll experience a parting of mind and body as I talk about my thoughts on the show that started it all, Ultra Q. To those who somehow don't know anything about Ultra Q watching this video, Ultra Q is the first entry of the Ultra series. Unlike the rest of the franchise after it, Ultra Q features no giant hero to save the day. Instead, it's a sci-fi horror and kaiju anthology series, similar to the aforementioned Twilight Zone. Unlike the Twilight Zone, Ultra Q has a main cast of 3 characters who are featured in all but one episode. Jun Manjome, played by Kenji Sahara, Yuriko Edogawa, played by Hiroko Sakurai, and Ippei Togawa, played by Yasuhiko Saijo. The show is an anthology series where our 3 main characters find themselves in a myriad of situations involving all manner of strange beasts, artifacts, and machines. Ultra Q is an addictive show, and I mean that as a compliment. I often found myself wanting to just watch more and more of the show while I was busy at work and school. Part of that was due to the fact that the show just feels like mini classic kaiju and tokusatsu movies. I'd go as far as to say some episodes are on par with movies like Godzilla vs. Monster Zero, War of the Gargantuas, and the original Mothra, which are all some of my favorite kaiju movies of all time. The effects of the show as a whole are wonderful. I'd like to specifically shout out the sets, destruction, monsters, and compositing in particular. There's just so many wonderful sets in this show, from the overgrown building in the Mammoth Flower, the frozen Tokyo in Tokyo Ice Age, and the desk set in the 1/8 Project. That desk set in particular is probably the single most effective set and effect in Showa-era tokusatsu, maybe in tokusatsu as a whole for me. It blends the compositing and the physical set so well. I was almost convinced that it had to be pure composite, until Yuri tried to use the phone. I'm just amazed they made such a real-looking desktop out of a huge-ass props of everyday handheld objects. These 3 sets aren't the only great sets in the show. Almost every single episode has a set that is just so wonderfully crafted, and the fact that they had unique sets for every episode is just mind-blowing. A miniature city set only does so much on its own. What really sells a set is seeing a monster destroy it. Strangely enough, Ultra Q is light on Monster City rampages, more than likely due to budget reasons, but when they happen, they're just such a spectacle. It takes quite a while for Ultra Q to even get that traditional kaiju city attack. 14 episodes to be specific, the first one's in Tokyo Ice Age. The destruction scenes in Ultra Q really stand out to me, not only because they're so rare in the show, but because of the fact that there are always new sets made just for the one episode. In my opinion, the best destruction scenes are in the Mammoth Flower, specifically when we see Jiran first sprout out of that building. The Tokyo Ice Age, that set is amazing, it is covered in ice, and it's cool to see Pagila destroy it. It's also, again, the first city destruction we see in the whole show. Garamon Strikes Back, that one has a lot of neat compositing stuff, and it's really fun to see a monster like Garamon go through a city. And the Rainbow Egg, mostly because I love the way that the futuristic nuclear power plant looks in that episode. It's really nice looking. Now for the monsters. Ultra Q has no shortage of cool creatures. Ultra Q has a wide variety of kaiju, each and every one is just so unique. Off the top of my head, I gotta say that my favorites are Gomez, Pagila, Jiran, Pagos, Kimur, Cicada Man, and Mongula. They did a whole lot with very little for making a lot of these monsters, specifically for Gomez, Litra, Larugius, and Pagos, who are all made with reused suits and props of Godzilla, Rodan, and Baragon. I'd say of those three, Litra and Larugius are the most impressive. You almost could not tell that these were once a Rodan prop. The compositing work on this show is also just immaculate for its time. I usually find that composite shots from this time look a little too obvious for my taste, with a very visible outline that takes me out of it. It's not enough to detract from my enjoyment, of course, but it's just an unfortunate limitation of the time. I think the black and white in Ultra Q really helps its composite shots. It's a lot harder to see the outlines in the black and white lighting. I think almost all of them look great, especially Jiran's slow rise, the crew running from Pagila, the Dragon Palace, the two Garamond's rampage, and Junin Ipe walking through the miniature city. I think those all just look amazing. The kaiju weren't the only things borrowed from Toho in the show. You'll notice a lot of Toho's big actors playing characters of the week. Akihiko Kurata, Akiko Wakabayashi, Akira Kubo, and Hiroshi Koizumi all show up. On top of that, all but one of the future actors of the SSSP also make appearances. Aside from the obvious Hiroka Sakurai, there's Susume Kurobe, Akiji Kobayashi, and Masanari Nihei. A lot of the show actually operates on character of the week plots, and I think it's to the show's benefit. The show doesn't have a whole lot to its characters. They aren't very deep and, for the most part, are just archetypes. And that's not entirely a bad thing. It's just not the kind of show that's really focused on telling a big character-driven drama story. Except for one episode. There is one character that I think stands out amazingly among the show's cast, and that's Dynamite Joe. Joe was a boxer who hadn't lost a match, but when told that he would suffer a devastating loss, he dropped boxing to become a clown. He loses himself in alcoholism, and by the end of the episode, we see him drop the bottle and begin to live his life on his own terms. Dynamite Joe probably isn't the most complex character by any standard, but he's very interesting to watch in his episode Blazing Glory. It definitely helps that the episode also features a size-changing alligatortis that can speak to Joe. Yeah, Ultra Q works with a lot of amazing ideas and concepts. Many of the episodes are very imaginative and intriguing. What the show lacks in character writing, it more than makes up for in the weird, cool sci-fi stuff. There's a plane that magically disappears into a pocket dimension, robots controlled by an artificial radio brain, the aforementioned alligatortis, and an interdimensional flying train. Almost every episode has some cool, puzzling creature or machine. It really adds to the show's overall atmosphere of classic 60s horror and sci-fi. Maybe a little too rooted in its time period, but I'll get back to that one later. To be honest, every episode just nails the atmosphere. Episodes can range from feeling like classic kaiju films, pulpy horror, campy classic sci-fi, or even philosophic, mind-bending, high-concept sci-fi stuff. The best examples for each of these archetypes are Terror of the Sweet Honey, Baron Spider, Challenge from the Year 2020, and Open Up. The atmosphere is in no small part helped by Kunio Miyauchi's wonderful score. He's able to make every episode feel mysterious yet fun at the same time. I wish I had more of a vocabulary for what I'm trying to say here, because I don't feel like I'm doing him justice whatsoever. I love the instrumentation he uses, focusing on a more jazzy feel. His music works for basically every episode of the show, but I think the place his music gets to shine the most, outside the main theme song, is in Grow Up Little Turtle. The soundtrack in that episode just nails the childlike mischievous tone of the episode so well. It's not just the music that adds to the atmosphere, of course, though. The camera work as a whole in the show is great. There's a lot of very interesting things with lighting. Shots that use natural lighting look otherworldly in this black and white film, specifically in the episodes Metamorphosis and Blazing Glory. Those two episodes are just filled with amazing camera stuff. There's also a tracking shot that I absolutely love in Terror of the Sweet Honey. One final little fun touch that really just adds to the atmosphere is the opening narration that sets the tone for each episode. It really reminds me of the opening narration from The Twilight Zone. It's almost no doubt that it's inspired by it, of course. Okay, so I've waffled on about camera work and atmosphere long enough. What did I mean by this? Maybe a little too rooted in its time period. So, to put it simply, there's one episode in particular that I don't think aged well at all. Fury of the South Sea. The concept for the episode is innocuous enough. Our main trio are stranded on an island that is the hunting grounds for a giant octopus named Sudar. The three have to work with another person who is stranded and the natives of the island to kill Sudar and go home. See, my issue lies with the detail that Sudar was revered as a god on the island, and that for the most part, the natives are okay with the creature. Maybe I'm misreading and misunderstanding the episode, and I really hope I am, but to me it just comes off weird and I don't like it. I don't like the idea of people from a more technologically advanced culture coming into a culture who's not quite as technologically advanced and deeming their gods as evil. I understand that Sudar, kills people and eats them, but the natives were okay with this. The natives revered it as a god. Maybe if they played more with a cult aspect or something else it would work better, but I just don't think that this episode aged very well. It also just doesn't help that the episode suffers from a problem that quite a few episodes also suffer from. A lot of episodes just have unsatisfying and abrupt endings. And the episode that bugged me the most with this is Balloonga. That episode is great up until the ending, where Balloonga just leaves. The episode has some really good stakes, and it seems like it's gonna set up this really cool ending, but it doesn't, and Balloonga just leaves. The ending is set up a little bit, but not in a way that's very satisfying. It didn't feel like it got its proper focus. By the end, it just feels like Balloonga just leaves, conveniently. And a lot of episodes kind of do this. Another one that I noticed it in was for the ending of the Underground Super Express Goes West. The ending for that also just sort of happens, but at least that one's a comedic episode, so the strange and more abrupt ending is a little forgivable for me. And as for another unsatisfying ending, see Goro and Goro, an episode about a man raised by monkeys who is friends with the giant monkey monster, Goro. He was constantly mistreated throughout the episode, only for the episode to end with the main cast tricking him into thinking Goro was dead. They didn't have to do that. They could have very easily told him, no, Goro's just asleep, and that he's gonna be relocated to a monkey island. Again, maybe I'm misinterpreting or misreading the ending of the episode. To me, it just ended off in a really sort of mean and cynical way. Didn't feel satisfying at all. It also just doesn't help that the episode overall is kind of boring. Though, this is to be expected. In a 28 episode show, there's bound to be a few stinkers. Not every episode is gonna be a home run, unfortunately. But many of them, I would say they are. So which ones would I consider the out-of-the-park hits? Episodes that are just out of this world? So, here's a tier list I made of every Ultra Q episode. As you can see, I got quite a few in S. So, take these as my must-see episodes. I implore you to please at least watch these 8 episodes. I'll go over them a little bit, give you a little bit of synopsis. First up, Mammoth Flower, an episode with a very unique premise and amazing effects. It's not every day that we got to see plant monsters in the Showa era, especially not ones that are literally just giant flowers. It's a really good episode, I love it so much. Grow Up Little Turtle, an absurdly whimsical fairy tale about the dangers of lying. It's a great episode, a really good moral story. It's also very funny, so it gets points for that. Terror of the Sweet Honey, a classic kaiju film story told in only 25 minutes. This one really does feel like something Ishiro Honda would have made. It exudes the aura of something like Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster or Son of Godzilla. If you like those movies, please go watch that episode. Garamon Strikes Back, the first traditional alien invasion episode of Ultraman. And it's great, I love it a lot. This one also feels like something like Godzilla vs. Monster Zero. Please, go watch it if you haven't. The Rainbow's Egg, the debut of one of my favorite kaiju, probably ever. I love Pagosaw. It's a simply fun story, and it really blends the sort of folktale aspect with the classic kaiju sci-fi story aspect. A very good episode. I love that one a lot too. Blazing Glory, a simply wonderful episode about living life on your own terms. This one has amazing camera work, a really good focused character, and it's got Peter, my homie Peter, the alligatortus. Please, go watch this one too. Open Up, an amazing send-off to the show. It's the final episode of the show. Just go watch this one. I'm not going to spoil it too much here. All you gotta know is that there's a flying train. Go watch it, and I'll let that one speak for itself. Same goes for my favorite episode of the whole show, the 1/8 Project. Again, my favorite episode of the show. I'm also not going to spoil this one. All you gotta know is that there's tiny cities, and it's got amazing effects. It's got the desk set. It's a wonderful episode. Go watch it. If you're gonna watch any episode, it's gotta be this one. I think these 8 episodes really show off all of Ultra Q's strengths and versatility. I think that's what I love most about Ultra Q. Its versatility. Every episode feels very distinct, and there's no 2 episodes that feel too samey. Ultra Q is a wonderful show. It's pure classic sci-fi horror and kaiju goodness. While it has some shaky moments, it's a fun ride overall. I highly recommend that you go watch the show right now, especially for the Halloween season. I give Ultra Q an A.